Now let's talk about some definitions that are going to come into play more specifically if you're taking this class. But when we refer to certain things, especially as it relates to fire skills, there are some things that that require defining, if you will. So one of those things is scavenger mentality. When you are here at a class and we start hollering at you, think like scavengers, or collect that, or collect this. We want you to get in the mindset of always collecting more fire resources than you think you're going to need. To do that, we often give everyone a 55-gallon drum liner and expect them to absolutely fill it to overflowing full of what we call smalls. Smalls are small diameter sticks. So when we're talking about smalls, it doesn't mean length, it means diameter. So we're looking nothing larger than a pinky, and a fuel stick being up here around thumb size. So when we say smalls, we mean nothing larger than the diameter of your pinky. Doesn't matter how long it is, just as long as you can jam it in a 55-gallon drum liner, you're good. And we want that thing overflowing. If you can tie that bag at the top, it simply means you do not have enough sticks for survival fire starting needs. Remember, it's an emergency, so you scavenge all available resources in your area so that you do not have to go back after more resources within a short period of time, perhaps the day, and most certainly not for the current fire that you plan to work on. So you always collect a big abundance of fire-making material and you scavenge it. You look everywhere and you collect it when you see it, and you never let an opportunity pass you by. That's what we're talking about so far as scavenger mentality and also smalls. Now, as big as your head or your fire is dead is a mnemonic device that we use when it comes to creating a tinder bundle. So I'll just use this as an example. This would be a nice sized tinder bundle. That's a big tinder bundle. Now when you hold it up to your face, you want it to cover the circumference or thereabouts of your face. In the Bible in Isaiah 40, it talks about we shall mount up with the wings as of eagles. So we don't want a little bitty songbird nest, we want a big freaking eagle nest. When we're talking survival fire starting, that's the reason we make a big bird's nest, because we don't want to do it more than one time. So if we were to expand this out to increase its surface area, because it's packed pretty tight right now, this is more than I need to cover my face, and I still can't see through it. This is primo material. So as big as your head or your fire's dead. So these are a few things. Quick fire is another one that you need to understand. Quick fire is something that will give you fire quickly and sustainably, all in and of itself. So think of your fire starters, such as your makeup pad that you've soaked in an accelerant and dipped in wax, your zip fire starters, your wet fire, whatever type of fire starter that you like to use or maybe pre-purchase in advance before your outings. That is what we refer to as quick fire. Something that will give you a flame quick and in a hurry, and that is not going to go out. It's going to burn even when it's wet. So these are some basic terms that we need to understand. Oh, one more I better throw in here while we're at it. Sustainable fire. You're going to hear more about this in the coming fire skills segments. A sustainable fire is a fire that is burning something at least as large as your thumb in diameter, obviously not length. So 1 inch or so in diameter is what we would refer to as a sustainable fire, meaning that the fire is burning hot enough to light a stick, which is the beginning of a fuel size of about thumb size, okay? It's burning hot enough to ignite that and keep it burning, so that if you didn't pre-plan accordingly, you had to run around or scramble or the weather changed on you, that thumb-sized stick probably isn't going to go out by itself. You're going to be able to at least pick it up, transport it to a new fire lake, transport it to another camp, or reignite that stick because it's already burnt. Therefore, it's char material. So you can ignite it, and we'll show you how to do that in later segments in our fire skills series. So, sustainable fire means a fire that is burning at least one thumb-sized stick. So when we start timing students to do a 5-minute fire or a 3-minute quick fire, things of that nature, they must all be sustainable, burning something at least the size of your thumb. So that's our terminology that we need to cover for fire skills. Now let's talk about some of the primary ignition sources that we're going to be finding out in the woods. Now, I have gathered resources specific to my property. Yours are going to vary a little bit depending on where you live. For example, my inner bark and my outer bark. Those are two right there, inner bark and outer bark. My inner bark, I've selected basswood. So this is a basswood inner bark. It's been dried. I've got boxes of this stuff. So we just tear it apart and use it as needed. We make tinder bundles, bird's nests, all that good stuff. So my inner bark is going to be poplars, basswoods, sometimes ash. Most of our ash are dead in this region, so I don't get very much of that. And also black locust, if I can catch it at the right time of year. I can get really good, finely shredded inner bark, very similar to this. So those are a few of my inner bark selections. Again, yours may be a little different. My outer bark selection is primarily composed of cedar. Now, the outer bark comes off and it's very fibrous and comes off in strips. And yes, there is some inner bark in here as well, but this is primarily the outer bark of the eastern red cedar. If you live out west, you're going to have western cedar, which is a much better fire maker than the eastern red, but eastern works very well. You'll find that when you use this alone, that it smolders more than it burns. So this collects heat, but it doesn't give you a lot of good flame. You're always having to add air and lift it up and fluff it, and it's a pain. This is not my first choice, but it's the one thing I have the most of. So we often find ourselves using it quite often. But when you mix the inner and the outer together, holy crap, you have an amazing fire resource. So outer bark in your area may be a birch. We have birch, I just don't have it on my property or in my nearby vicinity. But we have, of course, birch barks, primarily river birch, yellow birch. You may have white birch, so that nice white birch that's awesome, found in northern states primarily. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. So we have inner bark and outer bark. Now we have fibrous plant material or plant materials. So think grasses, weed tops. Notice I didn't say leaves. Yeah, I don't like leaves as a fire starter. Do they work? Yeah, they'll give you a little bit of quick hot flame, but by and large, they hold too much moisture to be a very good and therefore viable option for ignition for fire. But I have a wonderful collection of dead, dry material. This stuff, you can hear it. That's the sound you want. That's good and dry, and this is just collected earlier. It snaps. That means it's got fibers, and when you break it apart, it should just break off into strings. On a lot of this, you're going to see like a styrofoam type material within some of these plants. That's called a pith. So that pith, if you can collect enough of it, makes a wonderful char material. But those types of plants also are very fibrous, they snap, and they make a great tinder resource as well. So you can see I have some goldenrod tops, various weed tops, and some nice fibrous grasses here. This is just a fire waiting to happen. That's going to take a flame very readily. Now, weed tops such as this, or the flower tops, that's going to be more of a flash tinder, so think cattails, milkweed, goldenrod heads. This is a flash. It's going to go poof and then it's done. You're not going to get any sustainability out of something like that unless you just collect something like this, and then yeah, you can do it, but it's often more trouble than it's work. In an emergency fire starting situation, it's great to add this to one of these to get a sustainable fire going. Another option we have is accelerant-based trees. For this, I'm talking about pine, More specifically, our Fatwood. So this is a block of Fatwood that I'd split down earlier. Again, this just came out of the south. This is from Florida. Brought this home with me, and I processed it down to make some Fatwood sticks. Obviously, you can go to your local hardware big box store, buy sticks that look very similar to this. Go through them, open them up. If you do not see that beautiful resin that looks stick, and it needs to smell good when you get it. Don't buy dried up end of season junk. That stuff actually comes out of South America for the most part. Nothing wrong with that. It works wonderful, but make sure it's good and resinous. That way it's going to last you. It's a better fire starting device. If you're going to find it, go to your local pine shop resources. You know, we call collection resources out here Walmarts. So I have a Walmart back here on my back property, and it's just a gigantic cedar grove. And we can often find everything we need for our fire making needs. So it's a great resource. So go to your pine shop on your local area, get you some pieces of Fatwood. This is something that's going to burn wet or dry. Wonderful. I can't say enough good things about it. Probably my favorite way to make a fire. Lastly, we have tree funguses. Various types of fungus will give you embers, and others will give you a more sustainable fire. So you can bow drill down into certain types of funguses and get a nice big coal. Others just you have to scrape off and process a little bit more. A lot of different ways you can use it, and there are several types of funguses that you can use, ranging from horsehoof fungus to crackcap polypore to chaga, which I have right here. Chaga does not grow native to my area, but there is a state nearby that we're actually able to secure some of this from, and of course all my buddies send it to me, and every time I go up north I get some. So great resource here. But these are our 5 Tinder resources when we're out in the woods. So we're looking for inner bark, outer barks, plant material, accelerant-based trees, and fungus. So these items here are what we're looking for, and when we combine them in various ways, they make wonderful Tinder resources for all of our fire making needs.